I'm Chris from Airwindows, and I am following up my plugin of last week with a number of things, but you might notice a difference in my setup here, and that is a different microphone. Now, I'm not going to be sticking with this microphone for all of my plugin making videos, because I do like the other one, but I just thought I'd show you something that I'm going to be doing. See this little microphone here? That's a Sennheiser lavalier mic. It's an electret mic. And that's what I use on my Monday streams for coding, where I wear this sort of on my lapel, and then all the audio you hear is just coming through that from my regular monitoring system, which is fancy amplifiers and good converters and modified NS10s and a subwoofer. And if you're familiar with that, you know that you can hear an awful lot through this little sucker. Well, the thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to try recording stereo pairs of things like this mic and the lavalier and the fancy Sunday plugin posting mic and the lavalier for the purpose of trying to make plugins to take the tiny little condenser mic and make it resemble the sound of what we have here. Because these are some fancy mic. This is Beyer M500, and I got this because this is your classic Eagles vocal mic. And then the other one, of course, is a knockoff from Roswell Audio of the Elam, which is a very expensive unattainable mic. But you can get lavaliers and tiny diaphragm condensers a lot more easily and cheaply, because there's not that much special to them. They just don't have the noise performance and a lot of other things. I'm going to see whether I can make those match. But first of all, let's talk about the plugin. Switching over to Bespoke, we have got what we had last week. And that is Airwindows YLowPass. So I'm following that up with Airwindows YHighpass. And it is a series of kind of continuing this stuff on, doing my variations on the filter. And we've got the same stuff in this, like we've got the resonate, and we've got res edge. Which does strange things on this, just as it did in low pass. And that's about all there is about that. You notice with Bespoke, when I take something, there is a thing called a macro slider, which is being driven by a MIDI controller, and that is setting my frequency thingies here. And so this is everything that I had on the previous one up to and including. I'm not running the analog synth through this time, but its channels are still open. So this is everything that I was running last time in the same file. But one more thing. You might notice at the top of the screen up here a thing that says Audio CPU. I have been busy working on something because when I made the video last time and introduced YHighpass, one of the things that happened was when I was not running audio into YHighpass, it ran into some denormalization problems. It started chewing up CPU, and when I was doing things like unhooking it from stuff so that there was just silence going into it, I had CPUs creeping up to be as high as like 70%. And I thought it would be a good idea to remedy that, so I went and worked on that stuff and set it up so that I had a different approach to the denormalization stuff. I'm looking at it more like generate a artificial analog noise using the processing that was already there and just ramping it up so that I brought it in sooner, but if there's any audio, it cuts out. And I came up with a threshold for cutting it in and worked it out so that if I threw a bunch of distortion plugins on after one that was doing this, what would happen is I'd maybe bring up a noise floor if I hyper distorted everything enough with like multiple instances of Mackity turned up all the way or whatever. And then I added it to a series of plugins. Notably, I added it to Console 7 and Galactic and Chamber. Chamber is currently sitting around with nothing going into it, so it's being fed nothing but silence. And Galactic is being fed with the synthesizer, which is now off, and the two low passes, which are also getting nothing but silence because the synthesizer's not playing anything. And as you can see, from updating all the stuff that I was actively using, and you'll be able to re-download this stuff like Pressure5. Actually, we haven't gotten to that yet. We'll get to Pressure5 soon. But I updated it as well. Monitoring, we haven't got to Monitoring2 yet. I'm working on this as fast as I can. I will be introducing these plugins and you will get them. But the bottom line is, look at the audio CPU meter. Just up in the corner. Let me see, where's my finger? Don't mind me. There it is. That audio CPU meter was saying 70 last time. It is saying 35 now. So through changing plugins alone, I killed the CPU load in half. And I call that a good day at work. So that was Airwindows YHighpass. It works much the same as YHighpass, and if you enjoyed YHighpass, I hope you enjoy YHighpass and find useful things to do with it. And if you enjoyed YHighpass, you might want to download it again from the same link that it was previously, because I have updated it to avoid that denormalization problem and not grind a bunch of CPU when it sits idle without anything going into it, which I think is a darn useful thing. That's gone into my new template, by the way. Everything is going to run that way from going forward. I've upgraded the denormalization behavior so that it's a lot more effective than it had been. And hang on, let me switch back to... And I'll do this stuff with the microphones I was telling you about at my earliest available opportunity. And I've been working with Bespoke in various things, although I haven't had time to do music with it lately. And one of the things I've been doing is gathering together, some of the folks who follow Bespoke and are on their Discord know about this, gathering together all of my drum samples in Bespoke format. And I've already brought out a big old collection, 1.5 gigs plus, of all of my drum samples boiled down to the type of drum kit that I was using, and then little isolated folders with each drum part. And in Bespoke, what you do is you open that up in a drum player thingy, and then you can load up the folders and hit a button to randomize and sort of select random samples, which these are velocity numbered, but you're working with the raw samples here. So it's essentially a huge collection of acoustic drum samples, and I'm adding modular samples as well. Notably, I made a bunch of samples with Blue Lantern modules, and I made a bunch of samples with the Moog DFAM. And I will give them all to you. So, working on stuff. I'll catch up to you when I have a little bit more of it done. And thank you very much. All of this is, of course, being supported by Patreon. And that's why I'm here able to do all these things at once. And I thank you for letting me do this that I do. Hope you like it. I'll keep working on these various things and might have to start putting out things more often than once a week. What with the refining these filters and things and then moving forward from there. So, yeah, I'll see what I can do. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.